So, can we say blowout?
Well, we can, but just remember Connor Bedard did score one.
Ah, yeah, you're right. He did too, didn't he?
All hail Bedard!
All hail Bedard!
It ain't easy being a Coyotes fan. And it ain't easy being a Coyotes fan living in Alberta. To the north of me are the Edmonton Oilers, and to the south of me are the Calgary Flames. And here I am, smack dab in the middle. So join me for Season 1 of the Albertan Coyotes Fan, where I talk about the Arizona Coyotes, the 23-24 Arizona Coyotes. Let's see if we make the playoffs this year. Stay howling. Go Yotes!
Yotes win 8-1 against the Chicago Blackhawks and Connor Bedard. Let's play a bit of a game. Have a drink every time I mention the word Bedard. I promise you, you will not get even buzzed. I think, probably. Here's one of them. I know you've got that few to look back on at the beginning of the video, but here's another one. Connor Bedard scores pretty well half a minute in from a beautiful pass across the crease into a wide open net. But right away, Carcone answers back for the Coyotes with a goal, and we are now 1-1. Keller gets robbed by Soderblom when he leaps across the crease, kicks out the pad, and saves it from going in the back of the net, making it 1-1 when it should have been 2-1. Kudos to the goaltender for that one. Then Donato goes the other way somewhere a bit later in this period, I believe, and he gets a chance. He waits out the goaltender, but the goaltender is ready for this. He's got a wide open cage, but the goaltender with smarts. He's got the brain power. He's got the brain juices going. He puts his stick against Donato's stick, lifts up just a little bit. Donato lifts on the shot. It goes across the crease. We are still good at 1-1. Then the Coyotes make it 2-1 on a rebounded shot that goes into the back of the net. And we're off to the races. Coyotes go on the power play. There's a bit of a little pile-up. One of the Chicago Blackhawks players ends up blowing a tire, who, in the process of falling, kind of trips up one of the Coyotes, and the Coyotes have the power play. And the Coyotes, to their credit, I think learned something from their games with the Kings. They had two of them. They had to learn something. They learned east to west. I think I'm pointing west to east, but it's fine. We don't talk about that. I'm great at talking hockey. I don't know my directions at all. Krause has the puck. He tosses it to the east to Carcone, who's ready. He takes the shot. It goes in the net. We are up 3-1. Let's go. And to give a bit of a prologue to something I am going to talk about later, O'Brien ends up getting into a fight right after this goal. There's a face-off, puck drops, and then the gloves drop, and O'Brien is up against Foligno. And Foligno, I don't know if he's ever taken martial arts before, but you know, when you think of a hockey fight, you think of grabbing at the collar, fist is back, it's just wailing, we're going strong. But you don't necessarily see that in this one. What you see is Foligno with a very face, just the entire time it's so it's a game of slaps. It is a game of slaps, but O'Brien does lose this fight, and he ends up with a shiner on his left eye. So his left eye had swollen up. There was a goose egg like that big. This came because during that last goal, there was a trip that O'Brien committed against a Chicago Blackhawks player who was controlling the puck. It changed possession. The Coyotes put the puck in the back of the net, and there you go. It counted, by the way. And then, here's another drink for you. Connor Bedard ends up going to the box because here's Connor Bedard. He's got his hockey stick. Now, when you think of hooking, you're thinking like, oh, he's so far behind the play, I gotta kind of hook him to bring him back. You know, like the shepherd's crook in a theater thing. Like, nope, get off the stage. We're not doing this. But instead, players coming this way. I put my hand right in the camera, but that's fine. And there's Bedard. You shall not pass! The Coyotes don't manage to capitalize on this power play, but we are still up 3-1 off a goal that, quite frankly, I don't think should have counted. But, Coyotes fan, who am I to complain? 3 goals! Then we get into the second period. Carcone scores a hat trick. And I don't think the fans in the building really realized it. I wasn't there. I was watching on TV, and they were saying that the fans didn't really realize it. And the ad break was very short, so I don't think anyone realized it. But the hat trick was scored by Carcone, and it was a really wild one. The puck kind of rolled up over the back of the net, fell in front of the net onto the back of the goaltender, and into the net. Then McBain scores, top shelf from a pass from Kerfoot. It goes right up, it smacks the twine. We're laughing at 5-1. And at this point, it became very evident that O'Brien was going to probably have to fight again. It didn't happen, but it should have, I think. Again, getting into that a bit later. He was being walked all over by the Blackhawks. As their announcer put it, he became the villain of the game, which I don't blame them at all. But he has to show some resilience. He actually kind of mellowed out after the fight. But again, all that's coming later. But he does kind of retaliate. He gives a good cross-check to the side of one of the Blackhawks players. Snapping his twig in two, he gets hauled off to the box. And there wasn't really anything noteworthy other than there were no goals scored, and we were really good on the defense aspect of the power plays in total in this game. There is one thing that is absolutely hilarious. The Coyotes have an in-game sound that gets relayed through the arena when they get their lost man back. It is a guy from some movie or show or something I don't know. All I know is the guy goes, "Yeah!" And when that happened, after the O'Brien penalty was up, one of the players on the Coyotes ended up slipping. He falls to the ice. "Yeah!" is heard throughout the arena. And yeah, I laughed. I laughed hard. Then after this, Dursey gets a goal from a pass from Carcone. He's at the point. He takes a quick shot. It finds the back of the net. That is 6-1. Or 5-1 if you don't want to count that other one. But again, Coyotes fan, take the free goals. Take the free goals. Take the free goals. And then the 7th goal goes in. And it went in off the foot of O'Brien. It was called off immediately for a distinct kicking motion. There's a lot of fans all over the league that have a lot of problems with this call, or, you know, this rule in general, because the referees and the NHL themselves, and you've probably heard this before, cannot make up their mind what a distinct kicking motion is. Now, if you want, and I'm sorry you don't get to see my face for this one, if you want what I would think a distinct kicking motion is, here. That's distinct. You go back, or even from here, but you go distinctly forward. Your foot is up like this. Maybe you have a bit of a flick in there like football, but that is distinct. And there was none of that in this callback that they had that they said was a distinct kicking motion. It was very much rigid skates trying to get out of the crease, and the puck just happened to go in. However, there's been egregious kicking motions that have been said, "Oh yeah, that's a goal." And there has been very blatant deflections that have been called, "No, that's a distinct kicking motion." So, we are lost, NHL. We don't know what the heck distinct kicking motion means, because it varies by night. For all I knew, and I was pretty sure based on how they were quick to call it, this was going to stand. No, it did not stand. They revoked it. Coyotes goal. Again, we're not complaining. Take all the free goals that you can get. 7-1. And then to close out this game, this really wild game that was not against the Minnesota Wild. I keep using that. It's fine. Coyotes go up 8-1. McBain has a bit of a back and forth with Kerfoot. And that's the game. So I'm going to talk a bit about things that I want to see different. And a lot of this has to do with the NHL. One of these has to do with O'Brien, and we're going to start with the O'Brien one. O'Brien, good on you for standing up for the thing in the first place, getting the shiner, trading it for a goal that is questionable, but that's the NHL stuff. We'll get to that. But you gotta stand your ground. You gotta let them know that that's not a fluke. And you gotta let them know that you will not end on a fight loss. I think when they ended up starting to run your show, they started really pushing you around. That was the time that you needed to show them, like, no, you don't just mess with me ever. Throw down your gloves. Second thing, refs. What is a distinct kicking motion? What is it? Define it. Put it in the dictionary of the hockey rulebook. I don't know. Make it very clear with diagrams, because none of you seem to know what it means. And it's driving us all crazy. We do not want to, or at least I don't want to, spend $200 to go and watch a game where there's going to be a call that's made that really none of us, and it seems not even you guys, understand. It's not a $200 per ticket game. A $200 per ticket game is something where it's straightforward. Where, oh yeah, that's a kick. We don't have that. Finally, this is going to be the one that really, I might get chewed out a bit. Not by people who follow hockey, but by people I know who don't follow hockey. And one who called hockey football for some reason. Right now, with the way hockey is going, I think that fights should be allowed to stay in hockey, at least for now. The only way I could really see this changing is if the refs figure their stuff out. And beyond that, then maybe we can talk about banning fighting. At the moment, though, because the refs are so inconsistent, like with that one goal that shouldn't have been a goal because it should have been a penalty, where O'Brien got a shiner under his left eye. Because the refs were inconsistent on that, the Chicago Blackhawks now have to be the penalty makers. Because the refs won't do it. It plays a more important part than I think anyone really understands. It's basically something where if the refs don't know what they're doing that night, it's basically, okay, fine. If you don't know what you're doing, that's fine. We'll make sure that they know what not to do, because we'll basically beat it out of them. What we saw was O'Brien do something stupid, get in a fight, and mellow out. Really, there's no answer to this unless the refs figure themselves out. Unless everything becomes clear and everything basically becomes automatic to the referees, where it's not him and Han. That review, by the way, for that kicking motion goal, I believe it was about 5 minutes. 30 seconds to a minute max. That's all you need. You have iPads. You have a big Jumbotron up in the sky. You should not be taking 5 minutes to figure out whether or not a guy was kicking. So until this stuff rights itself, which, knowing the league and how they are, good luck, fighting should stay in hockey. But I think that fighting should have a limitation. Like, okay, here, maybe 3 fights max per game. And if you have a 4th fight, it's not a 5-minute major anymore. It's a game suspension thing, kind of like what they have for the instigator penalty at the end of the game, but for both guys. So 3 fights max. Then after the 4th fight, toss the guys. Toss them. Get them out of here. And there is a 4th thing I want to get into real quick. The hockey world is saddened to learn about the passing of Adam Johnson. And I don't want to make light of his situation by just jumping into the explanation bit. What happened was tragic. It was an unfortunate incident. All my sympathy goes out to the family and anyone mourning the loss. But that's one thing that I've found in hockey that seems to be lacking. Really, it happens with all sports. Is rule changes and equipment innovations basically only really happen after something bad happens. Helmets in warm-ups happen because I think it was Taylor Hall got either it was a puck to the face or a skate to the face. I think it was a skate, and he ended up going off for repairs. Even with this situation, like what happened with Johnson recently. This isn't the first time that we've seen this. This is the first time that it's ever led to someone's demise, unfortunately. But Clint Malarchuk and Richard Zednick, both of them had similar things happen. Both of them had basically nigh life-ending experiences with it. And only now are we talking about the essentiality of neck guards. Just to serve as an example, that's a really good one to bring up. And I've seen all around social media things relating to this, that it should be optional because neck guards are very awkward or whatever excuse they can think of. I'd rather be a little bit uncomfortable playing hockey than be a bit more free but have the possibility of getting seriously hurt or worse. Hockey is a tough sport full of tough people, but we never want to talk about loss and we never want to see a loss in the game. We don't want to see a loss ever, quite frankly, but especially within a sport that we all love, let's make the safe change. I think it's time that neck guards come to the NHL. They've gone through innovations. They are a whole lot thinner than they used to be. Let's make them part of the game. With that, the Coyotes play the Ducks on Wednesday, and I will be here for that. It'll be great. Stay howling. Go Yotes. Rest in peace, Adam Johnson. One heck of a player. Thank you for watching.